Hi everyone, it's Juliana. I'm Juliana with Silver Highlights 1971. You all know me, but here today I'm here with Linda, a woman I've known for over 3 decades. She is a marvel and just such a wonderful bundle of energy and joy and optimism, and that's why she's on my program. Linda, would you mind introducing yourself to us and telling us a bit about who you are?
Good morning, Juliana. Wonderful to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me. I am an 82-year-old woman. I'll be 83 in January. I am the proud mother of 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and my littlest angel just turned 2. She made me a great grandmother. So, all these years, they have certainly been my claim to fame and remain so today. But that's really not the reason I'm here. I'm here because, like you, Juliana, I want to spread love. I want to spread kindness. I want to spread hope. And I have learned a lot in my 82 years that I think you might find interesting and hopefully helpful in your navigating your next many years ahead of you. Let's use that time wisely. It's the most precious thing we have.
So tell me a little bit about you because you just recently became a content creator at the age of 82, which I think is remarkable. Why are you embarking on this journey now?
I am embarking on this journey because I found that I had unfulfilled needs. I had done my share of helping to raise 3 younger grandchildren who are now all in school. And I looked around and I said, how do I want to spend whatever time the good Lord has marked for me? How can I make use of that time in the best possible way?
What
Um,
context do we need to know about you and your background to understand your desire to change the world?
well, I've had my moments. I've been married 4 times and divorced 4 times. Not proud of that statistic, but please don't judge me. I have paid the price. I want to stop you from falling into some of those pitfalls. I've also recreated myself a number of times throughout my life, which is why at 82, I am much more interesting to the world than I was at 30 or 40 or even 50, because I have so much more experience under my belt. And that's why at this age, I feel very well qualified to be able to share my experiences and the lessons that I've learned in hopes that something I say will sound familiar to you. And you will either be able to say, yep, that's exactly how I feel or where I am in my life, or you'll say, if she can do it, I can do it. Those are the two results I'm looking for.
I love that optimism. Let's break down one of my favorite myths because I talk a lot about aging well naturally and how so much of that is having the right mindset. And I hear a lot from women, I just don't know. I've turned 50 or I've turned 53 and I just feel like my best days are behind me. So what would you say to that?
Well, I have a lot of respect for you, Juliana, and your dedication to what you believe in and what your belief system is. And it's certainly healthy and builds a strong person. And I really had approached it quite a different way, as in hair coloring, doing, oh, I had my eyes done when I think I was 35 or so. And so I was caught up in all that society was showing me. You heard a different message. And I think that there are many roads to Rome, but the most important thing is that you love yourself. And it doesn't really matter if the road was bumpy or smooth sailing, although very few of us have had a completely smooth sail. It really doesn't matter in my mind. What matters is your belief in yourself and your wanting to do good and share it with our fellow travelers, which is what you're doing in your way and I'm doing in mine.
So how does one start that journey then of falling in love with oneself?
Well, I think, first of all, we have to stop looking for things that we've done wrong and being critical. We have to stop criticizing ourselves and other people because for everything that you did, that looking back now, everything that you did may not have been perfect. but you've done so many things, so many days that you got up and suited up and showed up and gave it all that you had. You deserve some applause for that. And the most important applause and the most important recognition comes from yourself. And if you stop being so critical, it comes a lot easier.
That's great advice. How can you shift this thinking that women have that their best days are behind them?
Well, I call that stinking thinking. And I say that because it's completely untrue. It's a definition and a boundary that you have created for yourself. Every single day that we are alive, vertical, maybe not even vertical, as long as our hearts are beating, we aren't finished. You see, we're like snowflakes. Each one of us is completely different. Nobody else like you. And so, any observation you make about life, about people, nobody can tell that story but you. And therefore, you have within you a tremendous amount to share that only you can do. I'm coming again, speaking from an 82-year-old. You're much my junior, and you have many glorious years ahead of you. How do you want to spend that time? So, you need to develop a belief system that the best is still ahead. And it is. I fell in love this last time at age 80, and it was glorious. Not the same love that I remember at age 20, but what a fabulous man I was lucky enough to meet. And we knew immediately that we had a lot in common. And it turned into an absolutely beautiful relationship. And unfortunately, he passed recently, and therefore it ended for now. However, my belief system is my love life is not over. I love people. I love to connect on a soul level. And all of you out there have so many experiences still ahead of you. If you stay open, be willing to take some chances. Be willing to say yes when sometimes you feel a little pang of fear creeping up on you. And sometimes you have to say no to things that you're used to saying yes to in order to create some space in your life for things that really will be valuable to you and not just saying yes to every invitation that comes along and takes away your energy. And instead, you could be using that time and energy on something that will bring you a lot of joy and pleasure. And speaking for someone who has been there and done that, I can tell you that I feel a freedom now that I have never felt in my life. I know that I have a lot of work still to do, but I can now look back at myself with kindness and with empathy and say, wow, you really did do a good job so far. All the things you survived that were meant to wipe you out didn't succeed because you believed in yourself. That belief system will take you far and help you to create the next chapter, which can very, very easily be the best one yet.
I love it. Next with Linda, the next chapter. I love it. I love the tie-in. What would you say to the woman who feels like it's difficult to start over or to try something new or to just shift? What would you say to her?
If you keep doing the same thing you've been doing, which may be sitting on the couch waiting to die, or it may be stuck in a job that you really don't find fulfilling, or it could be you're in a relationship that doesn't give you what you need. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that is going to get the same result that you now have. There will be no growth. There will be no change. I didn't say it would be easy, but it's very doable and it doesn't take long. All you have to do is decide to make whatever changes are necessary in your life. And if you really think about it, I'm not going to tell you what the change needs to be. You can tell me because you know where you're stagnant. You know where you feel your happiness and your joy, and the places where you really feel unseen, unappreciated, and maybe unneeded.
Such great advice. I always say nothing changes until you change. So it starts
Exactly.
with you and it starts with you realizing what you're going to like, what are you going to do? You're going to, it's hard to change. It's hard not to change.
True.
Um, Let's talk about reinvention because, in my mind, you are queen of reinvention. You've reinvented yourself a number of times. So let's talk about, I associate you with reinvention. Why is this a truism for you?
I have reinvented myself many times. At the age of 70, I moved to Las Vegas with my partner of 15 years. He needed to live there and didn't want to go without me. I said, I don't like Las Vegas. There's nothing for me to do there. I don't know anybody. I don't smoke. I don't gamble. I don't play golf. What am I going to do in Las Vegas? Well, little did I know that there was going to be the adventure of my life to that point waiting for me in Las Vegas. We bought a condo, bought it sight unseen from an agent who was advertising on the internet. I redid the apartment. She came in and saw it after it was finished and said, we have 200 empty condos in this building. If I had one that looked like this, I could sell the place out. Would you come to work for MGM International and do our model apartments? And without hesitating, I said, of course, not knowing really what I was going to do, but I knew that I would figure it out. So, not knowing anybody, not having any amount of money. So it isn't one of those things, well, oh, she had a lot of money. So, I couldn't do that because I don't have the money. It cost me $333 because the MGM International insisted that I become an LLC. But that was the extent of it. I knew nobody. I had no certification. I've never been to school for that. I had done design work only for myself and my family. And here was an opportunity knocking at my door. This is the time to say yes. This is not the time to be afraid to doubt yourself and to turn it away. So I said yes. I did as they asked. I delivered. We sold the place out. And it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life because I believed in myself and I knew I would figure it out. And I knew I could come in on budget and I could come in on time.
That's amazing. What a great story. I love stories like that. Um, how do you get started on the reinvention? Like if you're stuck, if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, what's the next chapter? Maybe they've left in the college and so now they're looking around going, what's phase two of my life? What would you say to them about reinventing yourself?
Well, I think you spend a little time in serious thought. I understand that feeling, having been there myself. And I would say the first thing you do is to really have a serious talk with yourself. What was I doing last when I felt really joyous? When did you feel fulfilled? What was it about the situation that we can try to recreate based on the new information we have since that time occurred and our current situation? Think about what the situation was and how we might be able to recreate that in some form at this time in your life. Because the one thing I can tell you is you're very valuable. You're very young. You have many years ahead of you to believe in yourself, know that you can do whatever it is that we decide that you should do. But it's sometimes as simple as thinking about who is doing something that you'd like to be doing now. It doesn't matter that you have no experience. It doesn't matter that you don't know how to do it. Who is it? Is there a particular author? Is there a particular teacher? Is there someone who is a great golfer? What is it that you can find in someone else that you think you would like to emulate? Because the good news is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. This life is full of opportunities. There are people out there who need you, many people who need you in lots of different ways. So it's just a matter of figuring out how best to make your contribution because therein lies your happiness. And what we do is say, okay, I want to be like Juliana. What does she do? How does she do this? Well, we know some things. She's very natural. She eats very well. She's into great exercise. She's researched. She knows what she's doing to spend her time well. So, how do we do this? We do the same things that she does. She doesn't keep them a secret. She's very happy to share, and she does share that with you on a regular basis when you tune in to Juliana. So, who is it? That person has left a recipe for you. They have left crumbs that you can follow the trail easily to do what they do in one form or another. Now, no one will ever be Juliana, no one will ever be me, and no one will ever be you. So it will have your flavor, your own touch, and that's what makes you so priceless. Please, let's get started and create the next chapter in your glorious life.
I love it. But the first step then it sounds like is sitting with yourself and thinking through what did I do at some point in my life that really gave me happiness? Is that right?
That's one of the ways, because it may be that you felt that there is something that you've been putting off that you would do when you have the time, that you would do when something that you haven't done in the past, something that you've been putting off for exactly this time, when you have the freedom to finally take up this hobby that you've been interested in, or to give your time to helping disabled children. Yes, it's true. Spending time with yourself and having serious thinking about the last time you felt really good and like you were making, you were seen and heard, and you felt the joy that resulted from that. That's one way of finding your next chapter.
Let's talk about that you do to help you thrive or to thrive. Because at 82, you are goals. And since I'm all about aging well, what advice do you have for us younger gals? What are some watch outs as well?
Being in gratitude, looking at life and realizing how lucky we all are for all that we are, all that we have, all that we're able to do. Staying in gratitude is the number one way to keep yourself vital and alive and healthy. Staying socially connected is very, very important to mental health and to longevity. Staying connected, take the time to reach out to people that you enjoy, people who love you back, who see you and realize your value. Those are two very important things that one needs to do to live one's best life.
What are your top three must-dos in the second half of life? What do you absolutely need to do in your life?
Well, I'm going to repeat myself, because one of the things that you absolutely must do is stay in gratitude and realize all that you should and are grateful for.
Mhm.
Secondly, staying physically fit. Exercise is imperative, and it doesn't mean necessarily going to a gym, working out with a trainer. It could be working in your garden and walking your dog. It's using your body, using those muscles, using that brain. The old lose it. And that's certainly true, both mentally and physically, as you get older. I heard someone recently discussing the fact that people should start getting ready for the last 10 years of their lives, whether that's in their 70s, 80s, 90s, at a much earlier age, like your age. Start planning ahead and saying, how am I going to create now and continue to prepare for this wondrous life I expect to have as I get older? That should start a lot earlier than when you arrive. All of a sudden, you're 70 and you can't get off the floor. Well, probably you should have thought about that a little earlier and kept those legs strong and kept your organs all in shape to the best of your ability by eating well, by exercising, by staying socially connected, all the things that we've been talking about. Starting at your age, they're important. I mean, I can't imagine how lonely it must be for someone your age who doesn't have any friends, who doesn't play cards, doesn't have a reading group, doesn't participate in their church, doesn't feel connected. Keep those connections. And the way you do that is by picking up the phone or making a text to somebody and saying, you know what? I was thinking about you today. And I just want you to know how happy that makes me when I think of all the memories that we've had together or all the plans that we have. Let's take that trip we've been talking about. Pick up the phone, pick up the text, and make plans and reinforce connections with the people who are dear to you. It's important now, Juliana, at your age. Take that extra couple of seconds. We get so busy. We get so busy in life. And then we've got the kids, and then we've got the husband, or we don't have the kids and we don't have the husband. And that's an even emptier jar. But the truth of the matter is, we have a lot to do, no matter what age. Make our contributions, help make this world a better place. Start with one person. We can't change the world, but we can change one person's world. How about just picking up the phone and saying, I was at an Italian restaurant last night for dinner, but you know what? You make a better spaghetti sauce than they did, so I couldn't help but thinking about you. I miss that face. I miss your smile. It really, really makes a person on the other end, but it also makes a big difference to you because you re-establish that connection. There is someone special in your life, and there's going to be more than one person if you think about it. A cousin, a neighbor, an old friend who's kind of moved to another state, has different activities than you do. It doesn't matter. The soul to soul connection never changes. I met Juliana through my daughter. They live on opposite sides of the country. They don't speak as often as they used to, but that soul connection will be there forever. And when that phone rings or when that text comes and it's Juliana, I remember my daughter's face lighting up, remembering all the fun that they had together and how precious she is to her. We can all do that. There are people like that in our lives. And it's so important, even at your age, Juliana, not necessarily waiting till you're 80.
That's such great advice. And I do need to phone calls and some texts. You're right. Do you ever think, what do you think a person should start doing or stop doing?
I think people have to stop people pleasing.
Okay.
I think many of us have become people pleasers over the years, especially women, because we've been taught that it's our responsibility to make everybody happy. All of our kids, our friends, our family members. Women are the ones who culturally feel responsible for everybody's well-being and happiness. And that causes us to say yes to a lot of things we really would choose to say no to if we felt comfortable doing that.
Hmm.
But then we would have to put up with the negative emotions of the people who are used to us saying yes to everything. So many of us rethink that. But if you can break free from that people pleasing personality that many women have adapted, you will find the authenticity is going to make you much more comfortable, much more effective, and really much more, period, in your life. Stop pleasing. Think about yourself. That doesn't make you selfish.
Hmm.
It makes you a realist.
Hmm.
If you're not happy, if you're stressed out, if you're sick because you haven't taken care of yourself because you've been so busy taking care of everybody else, you're not going to be able to be effective and you're not going to be able to enjoy the life that you have ahead of you. So start thinking about yourself. When you think about the things you need to take care of today, put yourself at the top of the list. See if that makes a change.
I love that. Tell us, because I heard that you are writing a book. So tell us a little bit about your book and what life lessons can we expect for you to uncover for us?
Well, the reason that I decided to write the book is because I wanted to be able to share experiences that I've had, things that I have learned from my clients as I've been coaching for many, many years. I wanted to put together a book similar to Chicken Soup for the Soul, where Jack Canfield put together letters and stories by people all over the world of all ages, have shared their stories. And I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to establish a character in a short story, develop the story about why this person feels the need to change, the catalyst that actually gave them the courage to go forward with whatever change they needed to begin that voyage, and then the joy that occurred after the change was made. And every situation is different. People lose spouses, people come and go in your life, situations change. Therefore, Sometimes your needs change because you need to develop other parts of the way you behave in order to compensate for what you feel were big losses. And we need to substitute sometimes for the things that we've gotten used to. So, therefore, the stories are different, the catalysts are different, and the joy is different but the same. And although it isn't necessarily easy to make the changes that are required for you to experience your life to the fullest, to thrive, not just survive, and to give to the world all that you have to give, one needs to be able to make change. So after the change is made, what is the result? And the stories in my book are as simple as getting a dog. Now, I mean, that's a common story. Older people, they get dogs to keep them company. Then they have somebody to sit on the sofa with them or someone to feed. But what happens if that scruffy dog that showed up on your front porch ends up being something who needs you, who needs to be fed, who needs to be brushed, who needs to be held? That giving of yourself, that being needed, is in fact a savior for so many people who no longer feel relevant, who no longer feel a need to even be there. And then what happens when you take this scruffy dog for a walk? Huh. First of all, you exercise. Second of all, people are commenting, oh, I didn't know you had a dog. Or, how cute is that dog? Oh, how old is he? All of a sudden, you're having conversations with people who live in your neighborhood you never even knew. Then there's the dog park. Then there's the trip to the vet. All of a sudden, you are as consumed as you want to be by this adoring animal. And how simple was this? It's a no-brainer.
My dog.
So, I mean, that's one thing. I see yours is the tail is going.
Yep,
Okay.
my dog in the background.
Mhm. Anyway,
So
that's just a simple story, but I mean, it tells stories of people who don't know how to get past the loss of a spouse of 50 years or some tragedy that's occurred and how they do that. The empty chair table on holidays. Holidays are very, very difficult for a lot of people whose lives are not the way they had imagined or hoped that they would be. So there are stories about how one fills and actually finds ways using this love, which grief is only love that doesn't know where to go. And we find places for it to go. And we all strive for the day that we can think of that spouse who's departed. Instead of the tear running down our faces, we're able to smile and remember those wonderful memories of all the years we had together. And it becomes a plus, a badge that we wear instead of something that brings us down and holds us there. So the stories are all different. They're all real stories of real people. Each one teaches a lesson, shows you how to fill in whatever is missing in your life now. They're all somebody holding out a hand and saying, this is what happened to me. And if you're in the same position, please know there's a happy ending. And the last chapter could still be your best.
that's wonderful. When does your book come out?
This spring.
It comes out in the spring.
This spring. Yes, of course, it will be called Next with Linda. All of the stories in it are true stories, either my own, the stories of my clients that I am allowed to tell with their permission, or they're a conglomerate of stories.
Where can people find you? Where can we find you and spend more time with Linda?
I would love that. I would love for you to join my community. And it's Next with Linda on all of your favorite platforms. So please do look me up. I post every day. I want to give you something that makes your day better, a little thought that you can use that will make your day brighter and install the hope and the love and the kindness that we are all missing today. So help me spread the love, help me spread the word. Come and join our movement. I would welcome you with open arms. Thank you so much, Juliana, for visiting with me, allowing me to visit with you and your wonderful audience of people who are like minded. And it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Linda.